On May 31st, the Opera Company of Middlebury is going to be giving the first of 4 presentations of Gaetano Donizetti's comic opera, The Daughter of the Regiment. My name is David Clark, and I am a member of the Board of Directors of the Opera Company of Middlebury. We are so pleased to have the role of Sergeant Supplice sung by bass Richard Bernstein. This season at the Metropolitan Opera, he has sung in Madame Butterfly and was the Duke of Verona in Gounod's Romeo and Juliet, which was broadcast live on HD. Next season, he's scheduled to sing in Tosca, Magic Flute, Salome, another HD broadcast, and is covering roles in The Tales of Hoffmann and The Queen of Spades. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Nice to see you.
My first question, after listing all those shows that you're going to be in, these roles are sung in Italian, German, French, Russian,
Sanskrit.
And I believe when you sang in Akhenaten, that was in Egyptian and Hebrew.
Yes.
How do you do it?
Practice. Practice.
That's the way to get to the Met, huh?
Isn't that how they say the old joke, how did you get to Carnegie Hall?
Yeah.
Practice.
That's the way to do it.
Yes, so as far as linguistically, if we're singing in French, like for instance, perfect example, this role I'm singing for the first time, La Fille du Régiment, my part is totally in French. There's a ton of French dialogue. How do I learn it? Well, I'm working with a French coach, someone from Paris, who's on staff at the Metropolitan Opera, also on the staff of Juilliard. And so with each language that I sing at the Met, it's usually with a native speaker.
And the fact that you've done Tales of Hoffmann and Carmen and other
the hard
French
ones are
operas.
Things like in Czech.
Or
ancient Egyptian, Sanskrit. Sanskrit was actually the hardest one for me.
Amazing. And it's all sort of phonetic.
Sanskrit was phonetic.
Memorize, yeah.
Repetition.
Wow. Now, you have finished 3 hours of rehearsal today with Maestro Filippo Cibati and with artistic director Doug Anderson. And this evening, you have 3 more hours.
Yeah.
Now, are we giving you a good workout?
Well, absolutely. But you have to think about what the hours before, the preparation before the first rehearsal today. Yeah. So I, probably put in a good 2.5 hours of study time and memorization. Well, there's a lot still to go, a lot to memorize. Knowing the sequence and really, it's not just what I'm singing, but really we have to know what everyone's singing about and what each character is saying in all the dialogue. Wow. So it's a lot of study time.
It's a lot of study time.
That's what I enjoy.
But that's what you do.
That's my, that's, it's an interesting thing. People ask me all the time, and I think we were going to talk about this, but maybe I'll bring it up about my drive, because I like to drive. Driving, for me, I commute to the Met. So I'm at the Met 10 months of that in a year, up to 6 days a week, doing between 6 to 10 operas a year. Wow. And I've been blessed to do that. And so...
And you don't live on 63rd Street?
No, I lived on 66 and I lived on 92nd until we had our first son. And then my wife and I decided that we wanted to raise children in New Jersey. We wanted to have more than one child. And we moved to New Jersey. And we first moved to Wyckoff, New Jersey. And then after our third child was born, we wanted a bigger house. So we looked around and we found a house in Mahwah. It's an equal commute to New York. But basically, what I'm doing when I'm driving is memorizing. I have every single role that I sing, every single role, I have it on a playlist on my iPhone. And, like for each season. So if I showed you my iPhone, you can see Met season 24, 23, 24, 22, 21, going back, with all the different roles and different coachings that I've had, with French, with German, with each
So
part.
you'll record a coaching session.
Absolutely.
And then you can play it back.
Absolutely.
So that we hear that again and again.
Absolutely. In fact, my French coach taped every word that I sing in this opera and all the dialogue of everybody's part. So I put in, when they asked me to do the role, I had about 19 days to prepare it to come up here, right? And I'm still not, you know, musically I'm almost memorized, musically, but I still have about, I don't know, 12 pages of dialogue to memorize. But I'm working on it.
Wow. Now, leading on that,
Yeah.
you have sung 2 other Donizetti roles, I believe. You did Henry VIII in Anna Bolena.
I covered Henry
Covered
VIII,
that?
yeah.
And then Raimondo?
Raimondo in Lucia
di
a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those were both in Italian.
Yeah.
But they were tragedy. They were, you know, but now this Daughter of the Regiment is fun. This is a comedy.
Yeah.
How is playing a comedy different in the way you are act on stage and the way you interact with other characters? Is it harder than a tragedy?
That's a great question. I think to answer that honestly is to tell you that to be true to the text, right? And you can go over the top and, you know, mug, as they say, you know, and there are moments for that, you know, being silly.
Yeah.
But I want to go back a step and tell you why I agreed to do this.
Oh, okay.
Because
that'd be good.
And then we'll talk about the comedy. When my agent called and said, what do you think of the role of Sulpice? I said, honestly, you know, Justin, I don't know it, but I'll take a look. And I took a look, and it was so light, and it was so effervescent that I said,
okay.
Why have I never looked at this role? I said, yeah, this is great. I mean, is somebody interested in me doing it? Yeah. How do you feel about doing it, you know, in a few weeks? And I thought, really? And basically, you know, it worked out that my French coach was available. They arranged it for me to have coachings.
And I want to put words in your mouth because you also want to say, and that what company is this going to be? Oh, that Opera Company of Middlebury. They're good, right?
I heard fabulous things from my colleagues about the Opera Company of Middlebury. Yeah, and then to go into about how this music is like effervescent and fluffy and funny, that I thought, oh, I'm really enjoying this. I want to learn this. And I'm finding the moments that are funny.
Yeah.
But the key is, I think, that I don't think about trying to be funny or trying to be tragic when I'm doing a role. I try to be true to the text and true to, you know, what the librettist has written and the composer have written and the style of the production.
And one of my observations is that sometimes when you do a comedy, you really don't know how it's going to get across on the stage until you're in front of an audience.
Right.
Because you're practicing now for all the production people, the chorus and everything else, and they know the story, they know what's coming. But until you get to an audience and they'll laugh at things that, I didn't know that was funny, you know? And so that's going to be fun before the live audience when we open on the 31st. And
I have to tell you, that's something I never think about.
Oh,
I never.
You mean the reaction of the audience, or
no? I don't think about No, I don't actually.
Okay.
When it happens, and you sometimes have to adjust, or you know, the audience will laugh and might be in the middle of a scene, or right when you're singing and you need to be listening, but it will be great to have an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a little different. We say grand opera in an intimate space. It's a little different from the Mets.
It's not. It's not different.
In what way is it the same experience on the stage?
For me, okay, honestly, to tell you the truth, when I'm on stage, I become the character that I'm singing. So for me, this could be in Middlebury, it could be the Met.
Okay.
But it's the atmosphere, it's the scene that we're doing. So I'm not changing anything. I'm not changing anything technically, vocally, you know. You know, so.
Wow. Now, this is a new role that you've discovered. Are there some roles out there that you say, one of these days, I'd kind of like to get my chops on that? maybe at the Met or another company like ours. Are there any roles that
Oh, sure.
that are out there that you'd say one day,
yeah,
I wish I could?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. I mean, Banquo in Macbeth, for instance, or you know, Filippo in Don Carlo. You know, I've just started singing Wagner. I did Dallant
in Maine, I believe 2 years ago.
Yes, and then also in Princeton, and covered it at the Met. And so I'm really enjoying, you know, studying Wagner.
And as your voice matures, you can handle these heavier roles like Don Carlo.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Now, you've had the good fortune of having sung with famous singers, Fleming, Pavarotti, Kaufman, Mattila. What was it like to sing with these people?
Amazing. So Renee, I think, maybe just a couple of years older than I am, and we met at the Aspen Music Festival. And it was the first role that I ever actually had. It was Mazzetto in Don Giovanni.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, I'm definitely remembering this correctly. She was actually Donna Elvira. Veronica Villarroel was Donna Anna. And, you know, so I've known Renee a long time. I remember, you know, quite well, you know, singing with Maestro Pavarotti for the first time. That was a little bit intimidating, but, you know, an incredible honor, you know.
And weren't you around for one of his last performances at the Met?
Yeah. So it was the year before he retired. I was actually in 3 performances of Tosca with him as Angelotti.
Wow.
And it was a thrill. It was a thrill.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Wow.
Absolute thrill.
Well, performing opera is a pretty special career, and I know you have 3 children. What did they think of their dad going off to sing this strange music? What was it like to grow up with to have 3 kids, and you're in the opera field?
Yeah.
And what was it like on that?
Well, my family is incredibly supportive. They come to everything that I sing, and you know, I also married an ex-ballerina. And my wife owns a dance studio in New Jersey, called Dance Theater of New Jersey. And she's just as busy as I am. And, you know, with 250 dancers and 7 teachers working under her. And she's an ABT certified teacher.
American Ballet Theater.
Yeah. And so my kids have grown up, you know, either hearing me sing, or my daughter is a dancer singer. She's going to the Hart School in University of Hartford to study music theater. My son, my oldest boy, Josh, is graduating from Stevens Institute of Technology on Wednesday morning. And he did this in 3 years, getting his bachelor's, and in his 4th year will get his master's. But he's been a musician in the marching band in high school. In fact, he's also in the band, the concert band at Stevens, and loves playing the baritone horn.
Did you ever get them as supers to come into an opera in which you were on stage?
Not
that.
We thought about it with Sophie, my daughter, about like the children's choir at the Met, but my wife, it's too big of a commitment as far as, you know, it's every day, you know, that they have to be in, and my wife is very busy with her dance school.
Wow.
But my youngest boy is 13, and he loves to sing, and I often hear him singing in the shower, and they come to everything I do. The most shocking thing I have to tell you, this has shocked me the most, is my family all came to see the Meistersinger.
Oh yeah.
The Meistersinger, which is 6 hours long, right? And I thought that after the show, I would see them at the stage door, and they would be like giving me the look of death. You know, my wife and the kids, they were so full of joy, and they loved it. And they wanted to talk about it. They were asking questions. They wanted to meet people, and I was like completely blown away.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
Well,
it was great.
that last act
is
incredible, and what a lift!
Absolutely.
That gives everyone.
But that shocked me, I have to tell you. I'll never forget that.
That's great. Well, we are so happy to have you here, Richard.
It's an honor, pleasure.
It is a pleasure to have you, and we're so looking forward to the 4 performances of The Daughter of the Regiment, which will begin on May 31st and go, I believe, June 2nd, June 6th, and June 8th, and there'll be 2 matinees. So we look forward to seeing you on the stage of Middlebury in Vermont Nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
having me.